So I'm going to spend some time talking about the CPA licensure process. So, everything that goes into becoming a CPA aside from the exam, which Mike will cover after me. So there are four parts to the CPA license. We call it the 4 E's. There's the education, the experience, the exam, and then as Mike already mentioned, in a number of states, there's an ethics element to it. So starting with the education, you have to obtain 150 credit hours of education in order to become a licensed CPA. That's generally the equivalent of 5 years of full-time higher education. Some jurisdictions will allow you to sit for the exam. In fact, many jurisdictions will allow you to sit for the exam with 120 credit hours. So that would be the equivalent to a 4-year bachelor's. I know obviously in India, it's a 3-year bachelor's. So you would still have to do some kind of further education to get to that 120 credit hours for sitting the exam. But you would still need the 150 credit hours regardless of your jurisdiction in order to become licensed. Within that 150 hours of education, there is going to be, for most jurisdictions, around 24 credit hours of business and around 24 credit hours of accounting above entry level. Particular courses, there are some jurisdictions that do require specific courses, maybe a statistics course, something along those lines. If you wanted to find out a specific jurisdiction, what they actually are looking for in the education, the NASBA website has a page for every single jurisdiction that really details out exactly what the requirements are for that jurisdiction. Next, you have experience. Generally, it's 1 to 2 years of experience. So depending on what jurisdiction you're working under, you need to have 1 or 2 years of experience working under a US licensed CPA in order to get sign off. I'll talk about that a little bit more later, since we are aware that in India, it is sometimes more difficult to get that experience under a US licensed CPA that can sign off for you. As I mentioned, Mike's going to speak to the exam. And then the 4th E is the ethics. Many of the jurisdictions require an ethics component. That is effectively an at-home course that you would take. It's like a 4-hour course. You'll sit and watch some videos, go through some slides, and at the end, you'll take an exam. As I said, it's at home, so it's an open book exam, and you will get a certificate. It's generally an AICPA ethics course. You get a certificate, you send it to your jurisdiction. I believe you generally have around 12 months even from getting your license to complete it. It's not something you necessarily have to have done as you send in your application for licensure.